Hey, jeez, fuck. What a fucking way to start 2015. Holy freaking crap.
Oh fuck God. Aftertaste.
Uh,
Oh.
the trailers looked good at least. You know, when you didn't know what was the plot and all you had to go on was that.
I have to admit that I had a bad feeling.
Because of Mila Kunis, right?
Yeah. I saw that dull, lifeless look in her eyes when she was reading her lines. I mean, when she was reciting her lines.
It's almost like her role was taught to her phonetically, like how ABBA learned how to sing their songs. Like they didn't know how to speak English, so they just had to. They're just making sounds. They don't know what songs they're singing. That's like Mila Kunis in this movie, except she speaks English, and so does every single alien in this movie. Every single one.
But out of all the races in this movie that all speak English, guess who has lines that are not English? There are some.
Mila has some Russian lines. And
Yes. They went to the pains to put that in there, but that's it. I don't know why.
Well,
I don't know why a lot.
There was no reason at all for Mila to be the first generation Russian immigrant.
It has nothing to do with what happens in the rest of the movie. They just felt like putting that in there.
Especially when her extended family is basically just used for slapstick. It's used for like comic relief and like a bait for her at the end for the villain. And but it does allow me the privilege of seeing Russian Lord Cat. Just like I'm looking at her. I believe it was her uncle. In the one that heads at the table.
Oh,
and
man.
It was supposedly her. Especially her. I think it was her uncle, and he looks exactly like Lord Cat. It's amazing, and he basically has the same attitude as him too.
It's amazing. It is.
But yes, the movie we saw, Jupiter Ascending. I had high hopes for this movie. I
had hopes. I
I was kind of suckered in by the trailer because it looked interesting. It looked visually dynamic, and it did look like it would set itself apart from the current flock of sci-fi movies coming out.
And both Mila and Channing were both kind of stars. What?
Channing Tatum.
Sorry, Channing.
Yeah.
Were on the rise, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, you could say they were ascending. No, I'm sorry, bad one.
But that was the funniest joke I've heard all night.
Yeah. But I was excited for this movie because if you look at the trailers, it looks like it was 10 kinds of awesome.
Yeah.
And then in the first, it began pretty well, and then it just kind of, you had this thought coming in the back of your head, is like, something's not quite clicking here. And I could tell you the moment when the movie stopped working, and that's when Channing Tatum first arrives and uses his really goofy-looking anti-gravity inline skates for him to Apollo Ono through the air doing mid-air battles. It's the goofiest, most dorky-looking thing you could possibly imagine, and we're trying to take this as like, oh my god, he's dodging laser beams and he's fighting ships, and he is inline skating. This is Brink in the air.
Literally has to go moving like he's skating, and magic roller skates is all I can say to define these things, because I'm sorry, it's just there's no way that this would ever work.
No, it's
in any universe that.
Okay, all right.
Let's just move to the.
Let's talk about the plot here, because the plot is I don't want to say retarded, because that would be offensive to retarded people. This is the silliest, most spastic kind of plot you can possibly imagine. So here's the gist of it, and I'll just lay it out as bare bones as possible. Mila Kunis through a stroke of luck, has the exact same genetic, same genetic traits as this alien overlord that birthed three children that basically own every planet, excuse me, in the galaxy or the universe or whatever. And on each of these planets has people, just like people, like you or me. And they have these planets to harvest them so that they can be broken back down to the genetic level so that they can ostensibly live forever. Because when it's basically a Soylent Green as people kind of plot.
Yeah.
So let's get back to that first point. Mila Kunis, through a random stroke of luck, out of all the humans born in the universe, within the story, happens to share the exact same genetic pattern as this queen that lived for 91,000 years.
Yeah.
And that is the only thing that makes her special. Just like
that's it.
That is the.
And she knows Russian.
It knows Russian, but that's just beside the point.
Actually, I think that makes her really special because no other race has other languages. So
yeah, no, but when you're talking about like the tried and true narrative device of like born into it.
Bees.
Oh, yeah.
That makes her special.
That makes her special. We'll get to that.
Bees.
Bees.
No, that's going to be interesting.
We'll get to that. But like this notion, like this complete notion, the notion of her just being born, just by the nature of her being born and just having like the incredible luck for her to just have this exact same genetic pattern is, well, one, just mind bending. Not mind bending in like, oh my god, that's blowing my mind. More like mind bending, like, why? What made you even think of this? It is a possible story idea.
And they tried to explain it for a long time.
They tried to explain it like 4 or 5 different occasions over the course of the story, and
without explaining it, of course.
Well, they try to explain it, but they use in-universe terminology without explaining what those terms they're using means. Yeah. So you might as well just be speaking Greek to me, or Russian for this matter.
What it comes down to is DNA is it's like the seeds of reincarnation for them, as they put it. It's that they worship DNA like we do God. So it's whatever.
It's like the genes is the source of infinite life for them.
Yeah, it's back to magic and science are the same.
I wouldn't go so far as that. It's like they keep having these ideas of like there's this one moment in the movie where she's abducted for has to be the 7th time, where they bring Mila to meet the sister of these three, and she basically explains that like on your world you fought for resources of all sorts, land, material. When really the only resource that is worth fighting, and indeed killing for, is time. We are all want more time.
And they say it like that. In the Bane voice.
Almost the Bane voice. We all want more time. But so like there's this notion like, is the movie trying to create a commentary on the fact that we are like trying to coerce our fellow man into in another cannibalistic sense, like we're like feeding off of each other, we are building our future off of like the lower class and those who so we can ascend to greatness. They kind of touched upon that in Cloud Atlas, but that was way more subtle.
Don't even bring that into this.
I know.
Yeah,
I can't even believe the Wachowskis.
I'm sorry, but unfortunately we have to.
But like because the Wachowskis were involved in both. And I have to believe that the third director in the Cloud Atlas, the same director behind Run Lola Run, was probably the reason why Cloud Atlas worked, not the Wachowskis. Because
I can say that for this movie, the Wachowskis did very good on the aesthetics. They did good on the CG, and the whole appearance was wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, like
it was a beautiful movie. It was really pretty. Just like Cloud Atlas was pretty. They went all out. That's where all their budget went.
Yeah. But there was almost nothing left. I mean, like, I like the Wachowskis not only directed it, but they also penned the script, and this feels like a Wachowski script.
Like, if 50 Shades of Grey was written from Twilight fanfic, I could believe that this was written from 50 Shades of Grey fanfic.
No.
What?
Come on. Like the sci-fi fantasy elements. I mean, like, that's too much of a stretch to think that this had anything to do with 50 Shades of Grey.
That's not really the. That's not exactly where I was going.
Like, oh, you mean
I
like
would not. It would not be a stretch for you to believe that this was fanfic created from fanfic.
okay, that I would. All right, that I would say because there is a definite like overusage of common tropes that you see in writing, like birth into destiny, and really rather worryingly, Mila Kunis doesn't really do much. She's the main focus of the movie, but she's kind of been relegated to like the like the Holy Grail. Like she is an object. Like all the villains either want to kill her or want to marry her, then kill her, or just to ostensibly induct her into the society to like there's no clear indication of what the villains want to do with her or whether or not like whose side is anyone on, because you're kind of caught up into this three sibling rivalry over like planets and like what they and harvesting that you're like, and then poor little Mila is just kind of caught in the middle of it.
Poor little Mia. Yeah,
Poor little Mila, because
Mila.
poor
Yeah.
little Mila is just kind of caught in the middle of it, not knowing like what the hell is going on. Same thing with the audience.
At the end of the day, it's a shit broken up plot that can be applied to anything. Just it's very much like I was getting a lot of Anastasia feelings.
Anastasia. Oh, you mean like the cartoon?
Well,
The cartoon?
yeah. Well, I mean the story, the cartoon, whatever. She's basically heir to the throne, kind of. As you,
Not
she's their
quite.
mother though, so it's like.
Like,
But basically, this like they're taking her through all of the all the works of and getting her classified as the heir, as the what was it, the inheritor of
like their mother, like
of Earth is an estate. All the planets are estates.
Yeah.
So they go through this really stupid process of getting her officially qualified. However the fuck that was. I mean, it's like she had all of her family who were these rulers of these estates, and she still needed to go through that whole system. It was so stupid.
yeah, and
And then there's this guy who was exactly like the guy who gives Harry his wand in Harry Potter. Like-
let's back up. Let's back up
Okay.
from that. Let's back up. Let's first let's discuss this notion of like, okay, she is genetically the same as their mother, but she is not their mother. And yet this notion of her being genetically similar to their mother
Like a
means
reincarnation of their mother, basically.
like they believe that she's the reincarnation of their mother. But this basically means that she is now the legal owner of all the planets that she used to own, but now no longer owns because of her estate was split up between her children. Huh. Okay, so that's still their property. That doesn't mean shit now. I mean, like, just because she's, like, been... Like, what kind of idiot thinks that just because she's been reincarnated, all of a sudden her property comes back to her? It wasn't hers to begin with. She's not the mother. She's just genetically similar to her mother. But according to their legal system, like, she gets all her planets back, I guess, which basically means she can save the Earth by saying, like, hey, I own the Earth. Don't harvest us.
And the pawn was queened.
Ostensibly. But the most maddening part about this whole notion was that this means the Wachowskis, in their infinite wisdom, decided, like, hey, she needs to go through a bureaucracy montage because, like, go through a bureaucracy montage just to get her papers to say, like, she owns all the planets again. So there's this 4-minute scene where there's this unfunny notion of her just kind of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between all of these, like, space bureaucracy notions, because, basically riffing on what Futurama did. And for no reason. No reason at all.
Well, actually, the whole reason for this entire thing was so that she could go from family to family, from ship to ship, and have Channing Tatum
rescue her
from each one.
Yeah,
It's the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, like, I feel like we watched the exact same movie 3 times over the course of one sit.
And he keeps saying, like, come with me. We'll get out of here. So this doesn't have to... So I don't have to keep rescuing you. And she's like, no, I have to do this. They're my family. And then she says, but they're not my real family. So I want to go home. And then she goes home. And then she comes back. They're my family.
Like
It gets old real fucking fast.
it's like you're constantly led by the dick by this narrative. It is so sloppily put together. It feels like like she's going on the grand tour. Like I think over the course of maybe 2 days, she goes all across the galaxy. You know, like just bamfing. Like
Yeah.
I think like
Oh, suddenly, like this ship has cloaking device. This ship has teleportation. It's like Channing Tatum. He's a lycanthrope, by the way.
yeah, basically a man spliced with the wolf genes to
More
be a
like
soldier.
more like a were touched, if you will. He has pointy ears and canines, I guess.
He's not too frightening.
Yeah, it's just in a sexy way, So he gets shot out into the vacuum of space to die, and they always leave this guy with his gadgets, even his roller skates. He gets to keep his roller skates every time he gets sent into prison
or he gets captured
or whatever,
or is in trouble.
and he gets shot out into space, and it's like, yeah, we'll see how well you do out there. Like, you think somehow you're going to survive this and rescue her again, and he pulls this whole suit out of his ass.
No, he didn't pull a suit out of his ass. What he did was like he kicked this like panel that was in the airlock, and then this. I didn't know what the hell they were. No one in the audience knew what the hell they were. But then it was revealed like there's these emergency spacesuits.
Why did they shoot a bunch of emergency spacesuits out there with him?
They didn't. He kicked a panel that, like, one could assume that if you were near an airlock, they would have them around there just in case of a blowout.
Pulled out of his ass.
I mean, like, in universe, I can understand why they're there, but it's still like it just smacks of laziness. But let's so right off the bat, you can immediately tell that this story's all fucking all over the place. I was still trying to wrestle with okay, the goofiness of Channing Tatum's inline goofy skates, Mila being just like this lifeless object that's just kind of passed around from villain to villain to villain, and like two of the villains really don't matter by the end of it. Like the younger brother and the sister really don't matter at all. They're just kind of there to pad the running time. The only villain that matters is the oldest son who killed his mother to get the Earth. Spoiler.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, but you know what? My job in this is kind of sidetrack you because that's what the movie does. That's what it does. So, sidetracking again. There's these two hunters.
Oh yeah, he initially sends 200. Actually, 3.
There's some of the 3 hunters. They're the first people. Well, not the first people. I missed like a minute of the beginning, and God knows I'll regret it for the rest of my life to my grave. But yeah, there's these 3 hunters at pretty much the beginning of the movie, and they seem like they're very integral. A lot of the beginning of the movie is around them, and they just drop that.
It does feel like there were more scenes involving with them, and it was just completely dropped.
Yeah, they literally destroyed that plot. They obliterated it.
They just nuked it from orbit. It was
the guy. One of the hunters is like, there's this whole arc where it's like, do you trust me? It's like, we're supposed to report this in or whatever, but he's like, yes, we're supposed to, but do you trust me? Like,
and one of the he's talking to another one of the hunters, and she gives him this meaningful look. Smash cut to something that doesn't involve them remotely, and we only catch back up with them somewhere near the middle of the movie when they try to recapture Mila, and we never see him again.
And she says, "I trust you. Like, are you sure you know what you're doing? Yeah. Let's keep doing what we're doing.
Whatever it is you're doing."
And they never show up again. They don't come back. They don't come into the plot. I keep saying that the 2 hunters are going to show up right now, and they're going to rescue them from this bad situation. But that doesn't even happen.
Like what the hell they were talking about? Where they were like the older brother initially sent them. Were they talking about defecting from the older brother to give them back to the sister of the 3? I think that's what that was.
I was like, they got to be working for one of these guys or something.
It was established. It was established that they were working for the older brother, but they actually defected and went to the sister.
That's why he said, "Do you trust me?"
I think that's what they were trying to infer. But how were you able to link that though, other than like trying to reverse engineer Wachowski logic? Yeah. This movie, there is nothing explicit about the movie.
Yeah.
And when it is explicit, it's the dumbest thing you've ever heard. Case in point, when we first meet Sean Bean. Holy crap.
Are we getting to that?
Yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about it. So Channing Tatum is the only legit good guy in this entire movie, as far as Mila is concerned, and he's tasked by the youngest brother to go and abduct her so that he can marry her to kill her and get all the inheritance. All right, so he takes her out of Chicago, and he drives to this plot of land somewhere in Illinois. One assumes that, and Sean Bean is another one of those special soldiers that Channing Tatum is. They duke it out for a while, and for one reason or another, Sean Bean's house is just infested with bees, just completely infested with bees. And then all of a sudden, Mila realizes, "Hey, the bees are doing what I'm doing. Why is that?" And then Sean Bean, out of nowhere, says, "Have you ever been stung by a bee?"
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean. Yeah, Sean Bean just says, like, "Have you ever been stung by a bee?" Like, no. It's because bees know when there's a queen around. That's why bees don't attack queens. And she can literally direct bees. That's the only power she has
Yes.
as a...
And he says, "Oh, of course, there's an explanation for why this phenomena occurs, and it's because," he says, "bees are programmed to recognize royalty."
Let's let that sink in for a moment. Mila Kunis inherits the specific genetic traits of an alien queen,
Yes.
and this gives her the power to control bees. Because bees are genetically programmed to recognize royalty. Now,
This is her only supernatural ability, by the way.
yeah, the only
That they show us. And do you know how many times she uses that ability in this movie?
once.
One time.
Like then again, like
And that in that same scene, it never comes up.
then again,
Probably because there's no bees.
yeah, probably there's no bees in space. Although if there were space bees,
Humanoid bees? That would be awesome. She could control armies of humanoid bees. That'd be helpful.
yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, like she could just pull bees out
They
of
got every other race in this movie.
yeah, they got dog people. They have elephant people.
Dragon, humanoid a dragonkin.
Dragonkin. They have an elephant pilot.
You have an elephant pilot.
They have an elephant pilot.
Who's driving? Elephants driving.
How could that be? How could that be?
How could that be? Oh, fuck. But yeah, the elephant pilot just, every time it comes up, is like, every time she's like, she's like, accelerate! And he's like, every time.
Every time, like, all right, hit warp drive. Like, the camera just snaps to like, why did he have to be an elephant?
Oh. I'm just gonna throw this one in there. Crop signals.
Oh, crop signs.
Sorry, crop signs. Crap. I was thinking of the movie Signs. Yeah.
Yeah, crop-
It's crop signs.
Oh
yes.
yeah, like so, Sean Bean's house is right near a cornfield.
Sorry, crop circles. Crop circles.
Yeah,
That's the
crop
correct
circles.
term.
Yeah, crop circles. Sorry, but like Sean Bean is right near a cornfield. Mila Kunis gets abducted by the two hunters that defected to the sister, and as they blast off, they make a crop signal in the cornfield for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, that's the takeoff pattern from the imprintations. Yeah. Just for kicks.
It's like, that's just the Wachowskis just going like,
And that's how that happened.
and that.
And how about the whole system they have for covering shit up
You mean the what?
that they don't explain? Really? Well, like every time something happens on Earth,
Yeah.
that is supernatural. They cover it up by
Somehow they do it. Like
they do it.
apparently the Earth is just infested with these correctors, like.
Yeah.
But by these correctors that are invisible to the human eye and the human technology, or the Earth technology, and they just cover, they make people invisible. Like they fix things that are broken during their fights. They make people forget.
Shit.
They make people forget somehow. That's never explained at all. And I'm not looking for an explanation, but like you might as well just say a wizard did it.
Yeah.
And the only bone they give the audience is saying, well, they're not perfect. They can't get everyone to forget, but the ones that they let slip through the cracks, no one believes them.
One of them happened to be the Queen. That one slipped.
that Of course, that one slipped, and oh god. So, I think I'm arriving to a quick question that I think we need to ask ourselves right now. This, right? If Mila Kunis, if Mila Kunis did not have to deal with the two siblings, how long do you think this movie would have been? Maybe 45 minutes.
How long was this movie?
2 hours.
It was
2 hours.
I was just gonna say 2 hours. Yeah.
It was a 2 hour movie made possible because they had to deal with three villains that weren't quite villains. But
Oh man.
yeah, this would have been like a 45-minute
Yeah.
short at most. There was just so little to this main villain, but he did make every single second he was on screen count. This guy, it's like he's channeling Gary Oldman in Hannibal.
No, he was channeling Ray Fiennes as Voldemort and as Hades because he was the same voice for both.
No, he wasn't. Ray Fiennes was not Hades. That was James Woods.
Hades in Clash of the Titans, Ben.
Oh!
That Hades.
Okay,
That was Ray Fiennes. And Wrath of the Titans, but they haven't made Remember the Titans.
Yeah, no, the most confusing trilogy I've ever seen, but I'm sorry, there's only one Hades in my book, and that's
Yes.
James Woods.
I agree. He was a much better Hades.
There's no comparison. But yeah, but Ray Fiennes as Voldemort, and okay,
He talks like this the entire movie.
just this creaky, whispering voice, and then every so often, he just screams for no reason.
Yeah, that's where it gets Gary Oldman, yeah.
Everyone is whiny. Like the first time it happened, he was chastising one of his lizard folk for not getting Milas. Like, the next failure will be on you. Go!
He's got two modes. There's no build.
He has like you said, two modes. He has like very quiet and just serene, and then explosive anger.
Where does his voice go between these two modes?
I don't.
We don't know. Somewhere into the vacuums of space, where it lives with its sister.
And apparently his base is in the middle of the storm on Jupiter.
Oh yeah, that was smart. And they're like, oh, the storm's destroying. What the hell even happened there?
Channing Tatum.
I saw he blasts through the storm and then
he blasted the storm. Then he perforated the containment unit that keeps the storm outside of the ship's immediate area. So that's what caused everything to kerplode.
That one little...
Yeah, that one little ship just manages to get inside the dome and wrecks everything. Way to go, guy. Now I see why you put your ship in the middle of a hurricane that lasts for centuries. Man, that's... Talk about idiotic. I mean, like, okay, discounting what happens between the two other siblings, because they don't really freaking matter. They just, like...
It's like he didn't even go through an exhaust port.
Just like sweeping aside the fact about the little brother and the sister, because they don't matter. They're just there for like window dressing and to make Mila Kunis look like an idiot. Oh, by the by, the wedding scene there's a wedding scene. Yeah. Like the younger brother tries to marry Mila Kunis basically to get the inheritance, like I said, and she is dressed.
He explains to her that she was his mother, and then he asks her to marry him.
Yeah, that's like, holy crap, that's creepy. But
yeah, so the point where he couldn't control himself anymore.
The point where I just kind of had enough, and I was just like, it wasn't the bureaucracy, although that did test my patience. That really freaking tested my patience. Not the inline skating woo woo scene. It's Mila Kunis in the most ridiculous hairstyle. It looks like some kid tried to build an ice cream sundae and it's starting to slough off to the side. Yeah. That's her hair, and I saw it and I just did one of these. I didn't want to make a scene in the audience, although I have a feeling that if I did, the audience wouldn't care because I think I could hear the mumblings of frustration and anger this movie
Yeah.
was causing. No, I don't think anybody was liking this movie. By the by, while I was waiting for the beginning of this movie, he wasn't there because he was taking a big Carl's Jr. dump. I was just kind of waiting for him, and I was sitting in front of two like bro douche guys who, like, oh my god, they must have fucking hated this movie. But I was talking to two bro douche guys, and I was kind of half-hearted listening to their conversation because they were talking about some pretty dumb shit. And honest to God, this is their line of dialogue while you were out. You know what if I'd do if I had $1 million?
No.
If I had $1 million, first thing I'd buy, an icy machine. So I can have ices whenever I want. And the other dude just said this, like, dude, that's sweet.
Really?
Yes!
Wow. Oh my god.
It's like, okay, first of all, if you had $1 million, why would you buy it on why would you buy it on something that everyone thinks of buying? I mean, if you had that kind of fuck you money, wouldn't you be creative with it?
Yeah.
I bought 50,000 crates of sweetener. And I'm going to pour it on my enemies.
Personal ball washer, man. Got to give it to.
Got a Lewis Black.
Yeah.
He had the right idea. What did you
pretty
guys buy? Another car? That man had the right
Well,
idea.
you know what? It was the right audience for this film, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, the right audience in terms of like united in our mutual hatred for what we are being forced to sit through.
People who need to be told what a good movie is.
Or people. I like to think that like, you know, these are the same people that are like love the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
And love the Ninja Turtles movie. They sit through this, not realizing that it kind of suffers from a lot of the same problems.
Yeah.
Although this is just fucked on a whole other level than those. I mean, those plots were stupid, but they were the lazy kind of stupid. This is just like you had to try to be this stupid and this
Yeah.
crazy.
I think you. Yeah. I mean, crap. Still better than Divergent. Still better.
It's a new year, man. Let's Divergent. That chapter of our lives is closed. A new one's about to open with Insurgent.
Yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that movie already. But so we got this way fake camp over the top villain, which would have been fun if we just had more of him. But he's only there for like a tenth of the movie because he has to share screen time with his siblings.
Yeah.
And that just kind of speaks to like how fractured this movie is and just how needlessly convoluted and just overall a waste of time and money and creative energy.
Yeah.
Like this is, if I saw this are you okay?
No, I'm just. Yeah.
Are you okay?
I need to let my hair down for this one.
But again, I keep coming back to like what makes a truly bad movie? What makes it?
At least I could laugh at it.
Yeah, you could laugh at it.
I couldn't laugh at Divergent.
No, you can't laugh at it. You couldn't laugh at a movie like a Divergent. You can
Yeah.
laugh at a movie like this because you're always constantly asking the questions like what, how,
Yeah.
what, but such joy in some of the truly bad movies.
Yeah.
But at the exact same time, I wouldn't want to watch it again. I never want to see this movie again. Never.
No. I would not want to see this movie again.
Like it's just not funny enough for repeat viewings. So I think we have to come down for a recommendation. Like as far as the recommendation is concerned, if you're going to see this movie because you hear it's terrible and you hear it's batshit,
Yeah.
and you're excited for that, then see it because I think
It's not that kind of movie, though.
no,
Not really.
it is. It is that kind of movie because, like, time and time again, you're just wondering, like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah.
And if you're into that kind of movie making, if you're into that kind of like, okay, let's play detective here and see and figure out like what was their line of reasoning behind that decision.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I think you should see this movie. And if you're a fan of like Titanic stinkers, I have a feeling that this is going to be a huge letdown.
Yeah.
I think that this.
Then again, didn't we think Divergent was going to be?
No. I think we, at least I knew that because of the young adult novel audience, that this was going to make bank. But there ain't no such guarantee with this. This was an original project by the Wachowskis. They believed in it. Yeah. They put their names on it. They believed in this story, and they presented it warts and turds and all.
And the budget was way bigger.
Yeah,
way bigger than Divergent. They put a lot of fucking work into the aesthetics.
Yeah,
the costuming, the makeup, the props. I mean, a lot of CG. But damn, I have to give it to them on some of the art. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's like the one redeeming part of this movie. It's pretty.
It's imaginatively realized. I mean, I haven't seen a movie look that weird and that otherworldly since Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking Chronicles of Riddick. That's exactly what I was thinking while I was watching it. At first, I was getting some Dune vibes at the very beginning when they start introducing the different houses. And it was
that was very Dune.
That was squelched really fast because it sucked, and you can argue that Dune. Some people didn't like it, but I love Dune. I fucking love Dune.
Right. You love Dune in spite of its suckitude.
In spite of its flaws.
In spite of its suckitude.
And the soundtrack for Dune was way fucking better than this.
Not even close. There were times where I swear I could have heard Duel of the Fates in the background, or at least the music trying to be...
It was like stock.
It was a lot like stock. It was like stock music that you would get off of Epic Music R Us, like $500 for a licensing fee, and then you could use your own music.
If it wasn't stock, it was ripped off of stock.
Pick your poison in that regard. But I think that the point I keep coming back to with this movie, when I think back to this movie and when I think about my experience with this movie, I think I'm going to always come back to the fact that this was not just a letdown. This was a kind of letdown.
Yeah.
I was gobsmacked by this movie. It came out of nowhere and then just took out its big old flaccid penis and just right across.
Sucker punched us with his penis, yeah.
Yeah. And from Channing Tatum on, it was just how much worse can this movie get?
If I ever meet Sean Bean, it's I might have to ask him, what do you regret more? Do you regret Silent Hill? The second Silent Hill? What was that?
I forgot.
Yeah,
just say second Silent Hill.
Yeah. Do you regret Silent Hill 2 more or this movie?
Or Jupiter Ascending?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Silent Hill 2's main sin was that it was just boring and dull, and it just wasn't a Silent Hill. It got Silent Hill, but it didn't get Silent Hill.
Yeah.
It's Silent Hill, it has to have Pyramid Head. Well, that wouldn't make sense unless James was in the story, but James isn't in the story, so why the fuck is Pyramid Head here?
Because he's popular.
Yeah, exactly.
So who else is going to drive the carousel? Drive the carousel, I said that. Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. This is horror.
Yeah.
I would say... I would say that Jupiter Ascending is the bigger
turd.
The bigger turd. I mean,
yeah, definitely. People just don't give a shit about something.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue the whole fanboyism. It took a shit on my Silent Hill fan memories. Is yeah, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
This was just all right. First of all, how would you expect a Silent Hill movie to work? No video game movies work. You were just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with Jupiter Ascending, there's had a half a chance of being a good movie. I mean, the Wachowskis have a very checkered past, but
might have made a fun video game.
Might have.
Where you get to play the main character and get dragged, get dragged kicking and screaming into the plots.
I can imagine. God, I can imagine the David I forgot the director of Heavy Rain and and Indigo Prophecy. David Cage. I can imagine David Cage would love to make a video game based off this, and just like press triangle to be led around.
I just realized that's exactly what the analogy is that this felt like if this felt like Mila was the player, and the player kept seeing new plots, like new quests come up, and was just going for all of them.
And
like, new quest, let's do it. Ah, shit, that's a new quest. Oh, we'll go sidetrack back onto the old quest. That's kind of how it flowers. Just
flowers.
Gotta get a guy farm some herbs.
Yeah,
it was just. Like,
I think you lost me in the metaphor there, but I think I get what you're trying.
No, it was
to say.
being sidetracked. Like every single little shiny object was a new quest, and it was just
a new piece of loot. But I like my recommendation just relies squarely on the fact, like, are you a fan of bad movies? Are you a fan of like watching movies just shit itself inside out?
Yeah.
Then see Jupiter Ascending. What about you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Go ahead. See the movie if you want to.
If just so long as you know what you're getting yourself into, I think you can derive some sadomasochistic enjoyment out of the film, but it's not going to be like one of those classics where you could set up a bad movie night and like, oh, I got Jupiter Ascending.
No, it's not. It's not going to be like a classic failure. Well, I mean, an epic failure, but not a.
I think like on the scale of like bad sci-fi movies, if like on one end of the spectrum, like it's like a gradient spectrum. Like on one side is like so laughably awful that you can't believe that it ever made it with its budget, and that belonged to like Battlefield Earth. Like if Battlefield Earth is just like one direction, and the other direction as far is like Dune, where it's like it's only cheesy because of the 80s, and it was
like Patrick Stewart in the box armor thing.
Yeah.
Holographic armor.
Yeah. And like if those are two of the spectrum, I would lean it more towards Battlefield Earth than Dune.
Yeah.
But it does have that same eccentricity of Dune, more so than freaking Battlefield Earth. Yeah. All right. It has the design sensibility of Dune, but the goofiness and the unintentional hilarity of Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the cleanest description I can give this movie. So, 2015 started off on another rocky note, just like last year. But hopefully that we won't let another month go by without an update from us. So, I want to thank you all for joining us on a new year of movie watching. Can't wait to see you all next week. All right. Till next time.